To southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley.
And I'm Olivia Calfee.
The national emergency for COVID-19 comes to an end in just 10 days.
Kentuckians could face more expense if a COVID-19 becomes an issue to them. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to health leaders in our state about the impact on you.
When the COVID emergency ends, it's going to be tough financially on some hospitals.
Yes, you are seeing hospitals across the nation struggling financially. I think you're going to see a lot close. Even in the state of Kentucky, there's over 50 hospitals that are at risk for closing.
The cost of providing care since the pandemic has skyrocketed, such as in labor and supplies. Many patients benefited from the expansion of Medicaid, but that is running out.
And that could mean somewhere between 5 and 15 million people lose at least part of their insurance and the inability to be on Medicaid.
The government has been paying for nearly all the testing and treatment, and now it's up to private insurance or common everyday people.
The test kits will not be free at pharmacies and providers, and there could be a small fee for vaccinations. Some of that is yet to be determined.
COVID-19 is no longer a burden on the healthcare industry, but leaders say that it's still out there.
The most recent numbers that came in for the previous week were 86 new cases for the week and 1 death.
It's endemic now, so you see it. I think we have 1 or 2 patients, probably is our average over the last month or two. So it's still around the community. There's still some small outbreaks, out there every once in a while.
State health figures show very low or in the green transmission in nearly every Kentucky county except 3 in the northeastern corner of the state that are in the yellow. Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
It is possible some states could elect to still have tests available at community centers, public libraries, or clinics after the May 11th date.
Well, the cloudy skies have been the primary look as we've gone through our first Monday of May. Not exactly the prettiest look, but hey, I'll take, I like to see some of the clouds sometimes. Mid-50s out there as we look downtown Hazard. You can see the American flag whipping in the wind. It's a breezy one out there. A few more peaks of sunshine from London Corbin Airport this afternoon. They sit at 57, so it's still rather chilly out there. Many of us in the Cumberland Valley not far from 60. You go up into the Big Sandy, we're just barely on the other side of 50. It's been a cooler one up there because we've seen those showers working across the northern tier. Still watching gusty winds, 20 to 30 miles per hour. We're not done with them as we head through the nighttime hours. A few of those showers in our far northern counties. I'm talking Menifee, northern Morgan, up into parts of Lawrence, Elliott, and Rowan counties. Seeing a few of those showers this afternoon. Everything continuing to kind of spin along Interstate 64, but we'll watch and see if some of those showers don't start to drop down toward the Mountain Parkway corridor. Your forecast first this evening, we'll have some spotty showers around, especially the further north that you are, as we fall into the 50s and eventually the upper 40s through tonight. Now, I'll have the very latest on when we see the latest potential for a warm-up in a few minutes, guys.
Evan, thank you. The massive manhunt for the gunman accused of shooting and killing 5 people, including a 9-year-old child at a Houston area home, enters its 3rd day.
More than 250 officers from multiple law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, have joined the search and are going door to door asking people in the community for information. CNN's Ivan Rodriguez reports on the latest and what officials say led to the mass shooting.
About 1 hour north of Houston in Cleveland, Texas, authorities are pleading for the public's help as they search for 38-year-old Francisco Oropesa.
Right now, we just don't know. Because if we did, we would have him in custody right now. We do not know where he is. We don't have any tips right now.
Moments before the massacre, Wilson Garcia and 2 other men walked over to Oropesa's yard and asked him to stop shooting so close to their home because their baby was sleeping, even asking Oropesa to shoot on the other side of his property. The gunman later came to Garcia's home, shooting his wife, 3 other adults, and his 9-year-old son.
One of the people who died saw when my wife fell to the ground and was dying, and she told me to throw myself out the window because my children were already without a mother. So one of us had to stay alive to take care of them.
There were 15 people inside the home when the shooting erupted. 10 of them survived, including Garcia's 2 other children. Authorities believe 2 women died while using their bodies to shield the children who survived. The San Jacinto County Sheriff says he is heartbroken by how all of this unfolded.
My heart is with this 8-year-old little boy. I don't care if he was here legally. I don't care if he was here illegally. He was in my county. 5 people died in my county, and that is where my heart is.
There is now a collective $80,000 reward being offered for information that leads to Oropeza's arrest. I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Federal officers patrolling the U.S. southern border have been briefed to be on the lookout in case Oropeza attempts to flee to Mexico. A source with the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement confirmed that Oropeza was removed from the U.S. by immigration officials at least 4 times, and it is not known how long he had been in the U.S. since his last removal.
Gun rights advocates are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to step in on assault weapons bans in Illinois. They are challenging both a city ordinance passed last year in Naperville, Illinois, that bans the sale of assault rifles, and an Illinois state law enacted this year prohibiting the sale and possession of assault weapons and magazines. They say Illinois courts are ignoring last year's ruling that expanded Second Amendment rights. Both a federal district court and an appeals court declined the request for a preliminary injunction from a gun rights group, an Illinois gun shop, and its owner.
Former President Donald Trump was denied a mistrial in the civil battery and defamation trial against him. Cross-examination of E. Jean Carroll resumed today. She sued Trump, accusing him of raping her back in the 1990s and then defaming her when he denied her claim. Trump's lawyer had argued Judge Lewis Kaplan made pervasive, unfair, and prejudicial rulings against Trump. Trump has denied any wrongdoing.
Democratic Senator Ben Cardin says he will not seek re-election when his term ends next year. The Maryland lawmaker made the announcement in a video alongside his wife earlier this afternoon. Cardin has served in the Senate since 2006. He currently chairs the Small Business Committee. Cardin has had a long political career. He started in the Maryland House of Delegates in 1967 and then served 20 years in the U.S. House of Representatives.
President Biden is calling on Congress and regulators to hold banks accountable in wake of the failure of regional bank First Republic. This past weekend, federal regulators took control of First Republic, which had been teetering for weeks. Today, regulators sold it to the nation's largest bank, J.P. Morgan Chase. President Biden says regulatory action taken on First Republic would, quote, make sure that the banking system is safe and sound.
Going forward, I've called on Congress to give regulators the tools to hold bank executives accountable, and I've called on regulators to strengthen regulations and supervision of large and regional banks. And folks, we have to make sure that we're not back in this position again.
The president says all depositors are being protected by the purchase and resale of First Republic, and taxpayers will not foot the bill for the deal. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, thinking about starting a college savings plan for your child.